Good morning, everybody. I don't know if you decided on the title for your workshop today before you knew that we were here at FICO or afterwards, but it's perfectly fitting. In the other rooms, they are doing the mortadella, and here we are doing ILIAS sausages. When I heard that Richard wanted to present on this topic, I was very happy because I think it's a good opportunity to talk a bit about various ways to contribute to the Elias development and maybe get a bit of an insight into what normally you maybe won't see as a user, even if you're very active creating content or creating didactic scenarios. I think that's great to have a look at that here. Richard Klees is here today, I think more as a part of the technical board. He is what's your English title at CAT? Managing Director of Concepts and Training in Cologne, Elias service provider, but he's also a longtime member of the Elias Technical Board, which is like part of ILIAS Society. 5 people who are taking care to ensure like a steady development so that Elias stays up to date on the technological level. Yeah, as such, he has a deep insight into what's happening in Elias development, and I'm happy to see what you have prepared today.
Yeah, I think I can switch the question whether I can talk in German, so I go on with English and apologize for looking for vocabulary and stuff. So as Fabian said, I'm Richard Klees. I'm with the technical board of the ILIAS Society and also at CAT Concepts and Training, the company I work with. And I will introduce myself a little later, and I want to just prepare you. This is not something you can just listen. So please, you might need your laptop, and please be prepared for getting active a little bit. So this might be the first step to actually contribute to Elias. And I think you all came here because you might have questions like these. So you might ask yourself, how can I contribute to Elias if I'm not a developer? It's obvious that software developers can contribute to Elias, but if I'm not a software developer, what should I do? So what are all these committees and groups that Fabian talks about? Is there a place for me where I can join these committees and groups? Is there something I can do? Can I get involved in decision-making? How is decision-making working at all in the Elias community? Is there anything I can decide on? And I noticed that these questions also rise for people that are active in the community for a long time, and also these aren't that simple to answer, these questions. So I just want to start by saying I won't provide answers to these questions as well. It's like a fractal of stuff and social structure, and it won't fit in 1.5 hours. But I will definitely try to give you some hints and insight that I collected working with the Elias community for some time. And also I think we can practice contributing to Elias development a little. So first thing first, I start with my first hint or advice. It's extremely important that you manage your own expectations and goals for yourself and also for others. So it won't be like you're coming into the Elias community and then suddenly tomorrow Elias looks completely different and everything is fine, or you will meet people and start collaborating directly. It's some process, it takes some time, and you should set yourself realistic goals in working with the Elias community. So, as I already told, I will introduce myself a little bit more. I'm, as I said, Richard. I live in Aachen. I work in Cologne. Originally, I'm a physicist, so I studied theoretical physics for some time, and after my diploma, I turned developer, and I really love it. And in the ILIAS Society, I'm the member of a technical board. I will tell about that a little later. And also, I'm one of 3 managing directors of the company I'm working with. And there's a lot more to what I am, actually, I hope at least. But I think it's enough for the moment. So if you want to ask me later, do it. But I want to talk about what we're doing at CAT a little. So quick advertising slide, but I think it might become relevant later. So at CAT, we're doing a software as a service based on Elias. We call it Kate, and we run it at our servers. We provide it to our users with complete services like support, update, and yeah, this is what we do. And next thing is you just listened a lot, but nothing relevant will happen for you if you just sit here and listen. So I just want you to get up, look for 2 people, introduce yourself to someone you don't know, so that you also actually learn to get to know someone you didn't know before. So please get up, look for someone that you don't know, Evan. Yes? Maybe switch places, go through the room a little. Michael, du. So I don't want to interrupt you too abruptly, but that looks pretty nice. That's the way how it should look. You might take your seat again if you're finished getting to know each other a little. Maybe stay put next to the person you just got to know. So my second advice that I want to give you is the Elias community, from my perspective, is getting to know people and find about their motivation and goals. So I think this conference is nice. You can get a lot of input about how Elias can be configured or stuff, but it's more important to find people that share goals with you and find out what people are up to. So this is where I quickly come back to my advertising slide again. So as I told you, we are offering Kate as software as a service, and I will always say that we do so. So we do certain things and other things we don't do. So we don't develop software for hire, we don't do support for random Elias users. And if you know that about me and my company, then you might just guess what my motivations and goals are. So I'm very open with that. At least I try. My motivations and goals for Elias are, of course, I want to run Elias for a long time for my customers reliably. And so it is my goal that Elias and its community are reliable partners to do so. So if I'm trying to do stuff in the community, I'm looking for people that further that goal, and I can work with to improve on that. The other thing is we need Elias to provide a stable infrastructure so where we can build features for our software as a service on. So we see Elias as a platform more than we see it as an application, because we think some of the stuff that we are building for our customers is not necessarily right for the community. It might be very specific, like very specific types of business that we support with the software. It might be just not mature enough to provide it to the community, but we want Elias to be a reliable infrastructure that we can build upon. And also, we need to be able to fix issues and improve Elias, because if some of our customers in our software as a service business finds problems, then we need to be able to fix them. So we want to stay close to Elias and its community, so this is why we need to be able to improve on Elias. So that is a very quick wrap up about my motivations and goals contributing to the Elias community. And I want to take you a little moment and deep breath and ask yourself, what are your motivations to contribute to the community? So what is that you are looking for and contributing to Elias? Why are you here? Why did you join my talk and didn't just go the other room and to hear about diversity? So take a moment, just have a thought. So I guess some of you just thought stuff like contributing to open source is just a way to improve the world, and of course it is. But I don't think that we need to pretend that this is the only reason why we are working with the Elias community, because I think we are all professionals, and that might be enough to work together. So we can be good persons, and I think you all are, but it's no need to be a good person to work with Elias. So there are enough reasons and motives that you can follow and work with the community, and you don't have to pretend it's just to be like improving the world and doing open source for good and stuff. It can be simple things like I want to earn money, my employer sent me here, I earn money while I'm here and stuff like that. So we're not like some enthusiast free time community. We're all professionals, we work here, that's fine, I think, actually. And stuff like that is written down in the Elias manifesto. I don't want to go into details here, but I think it's worth reading it up. It's some small document that we voted on in the General Assembly of the Society, and it tries to set basic outlines on how we want to work together and what our motives are, so that we have some common ground we can work with. Yeah, this also might lead to another insight that I want to share, and this is there might simply be motivations and goals that won't fit the community. So you might have things you want to do with Elias or things you see Elias going that don't work with the community. And so that's fine, basically, but don't be like sad if it doesn't work out what you want to do. So there certainly is stuff that we are doing with Elias, that we want from Elias, that we see no fit for the community and that we don't just don't bring here. And that might be the same with you. So I talked about the community a lot now, and I think this is where we want to go next. And I think the community, it's quite a problematic word, because it can mean so much things. Like, is the community the people that are actually members of the Elias e-learning e.V., or its committees and boards, or is it just the people gathering on the Discord server or on Elias.de, or maybe people gathering here, or is it all the people that are involved in the actual development of Elias? What is it, this Elias community? And I think it's important to notice that this is hard to answer and not necessarily relevant anyway, because for me Elias just looks like this. So there's some huge object in the middle that is Elias, and then there are many different like planets evolving around that center, and that is fine. So there's some university community that I don't actually interact with too much, that is really big. There's like committees like the tester group that is such an object revolving around Elias. So the community can be many things, and isn't necessarily that organized or hierarchical like you might expect it to be. But one important organization always comes up when it comes to to Elias, and that, of course, is the Elias e-learning e.V. And I want to quickly introduce that e.V. thing a little, because I noticed that e.V.s are a typical German thing that most other countries don't necessarily understand. So I brought you a nice picture from our last meeting of the board. So this is how a German e.V. might look like. A little strange, old men gathering around tables drinking beer. And it's a common topic to make fun about in German, like Kaninchenzüchterverein or something that is like a typical German thing, I think. So what is ein e.V.? It stands for eingetragene Vereine. It means registered society. So we have a register in Germany, so you can register your society, then you are a e.V. So, and it's important to note that an e.V. it's not a company. So I noticed that problem already with people from Swiss, that they think e.V. might work like a company, but it does not. It doesn't work like a company. Very often there is no clear line of command or hierarchy or something. There might be someone calling himself board or president, but usually he doesn't have like direct influence on the people working with the e.V. So that's very uncommon that there is something like a command hierarchy or something like you would expect from a business or something. Also, an e.V. can't invest in anything. We are inclined to spend all our money the year we get it, because we do it for the people that are a member of the EV, and if we save it up for the next year, then these people might not be members, so we are not allowed to do that. We have to spend the money the year we get it, and if we spend it the next year, the tax office will be very sad and go to Matthias and say, spend the money, spend the money. So we can't just save it up and invest it later. What an EV is, in my opinion, it's a container or framework or support for the actual initiative of people like you. So don't expect the EV to do anything, just use it to do your stuff and it will help you do your stuff. Like for Elias, it provides like infrastructure, like servers, this community and so on, but it wouldn't happen anything if nobody came to the conference and nobody used Elias.de. So please, don't wait around for someone to do something. Go and do it yourself. If there's something that needs to be done, it's probably you that should do it. Nobody other will. So yeah, that's really, really important to understand that all of this stuff just works because someone wants to do it. And this is where I need you to become active again, put out your laptop. And if you don't have an account on doku-elias.de, most of you will have one. But if you don't have one, take your time now and create one. So that's where most of the magic will happen, or a lot of the magic will happen. And if you don't have any account there, you won't participate in that. So go on and create one. I will give you some minutes to do so. Yeah, so go and fix it yourself. Like I told you, go outside, ask someone. I'm sorry, I didn't anticipate having no internet on an Elias conference. That's the first, I think. So take a picture from that slide and do it later maybe. So for the next part, I'm trying to introduce some committees from the ILIAS Society. And as I said, I could go in much more details. I think most of these committees will give enough to speak about for hours. So I'll try to be brief, but if there's anything that I should expand on, that you ask yourself about these committees that I will introduce, just feel free to raise your hands. We are good on time, so we have space to talk about your specific questions now. And I thought a lot about which of the committees I will be introducing and in which order. And as I said, in EV, it's in vehicle for the initiative of people, so I don't start with the board. I start with a type of committee that's called the special interest groups that organized in the framework of the ILIAS Society. And these are groups that try to bundle interests and discussions for people. So if you discovered that you have some specific motive, like I want to improve privacy of Elias, then you might find a group called Special Interest Group that already talks about that topic. So this would be a very obvious point to start your search for like-minded people in the community, just looking for a special interest group, taking care about the topic you're interested in. And it's very important to note that these special interest groups are really open for everyone, so you don't have to be a member of the society or something, and also you can just watch. You don't need to become active right away. You can just become a member in the Elias group representing the special interest group, and then look around and see what they've been doing, what they've been up to, maybe look in previous results of the group. And that is totally fine, so no need to worry to become a member of a special interest group on Elias.de. And usually these groups try to prepare input for the more formalized processes in the Elias development that I will expand on later. So these are not the actual decision-making points, but more like a place where common interest can be found. So I want you to go to that link that I have written down, if it works, and maybe just look around a little in the special interest groups you have in Elias, and maybe just join one or two right away, because, as I said, it's fine to just be a watcher. Maybe there's something you want to watch. So I hope you all have bookmarked that special interest group category, so I can go on and you can look further into it later, maybe tell your colleagues and stuff. And the next group or committee I want to talk about, it's the technical board. I want to talk about that really quick because technical board always comes up when it's about Elias development. So I think I need to introduce it. And we are 5 people elected by the General Council of the Society every 2 years. And I think we are the most formalized link between the ILIAS Society and the actual Elias development. So there's a lot of obvious personal continuity going on there, but there are surprisingly little formal links between the work of the Society and actual Elias development. And the technical board is, I think, the strongest of these links. And our task is to propose strategies and policies for the Elias development. So we're not the persons who actually do the development. We might be doing development, of course, but that is not what we are elected for. We are elected for proposing strategies and policies. And also we are elected for proposing them. So no, we can't just decree something and say, now it works like this. But we have to obey to the same decision-making processes everyone else needs to obey to. And if you want to read up a little bit more about the technical board, then just visit that link. We try to pin down what we've been doing. We published a strategy that we are working based upon. And like many other areas in the Elias community, just go there and have a look. And of course, you may also always ask myself or Michael sitting there what we've been doing. And since we had that discussion, some hour ago, we will be re-elected next year, or I hope we will be re-elected. But currently, to me, it looks like there is not so much additional supply of people that will be candidate for that board. So I just want to make sure that everyone knows you can be a candidate for the board. You can go to the ILIAS Society and propose yourself as member of the technical board. And if there is anything that you need to know about how we work, what might be required from you to become a candidate for the technical board, just ask us as well. I think there are several people in the technical board who would be very glad if there are more than 5 proposals for the board, including me. So please, if you ever thought about becoming a member of the technical board, don't hesitate to come to us and ask what you might be, how you might prepare for the election and stuff. So we need supply of people who could fulfill the role that I just talked about. There are, of course, other bodies of the ILIAS e.V., and I put them all on one paper because, as I said, most of the links from the society to the actual development aren't that strong. But of course, as every other e.V., we also have some committees that do regular stuff for e.V.s and also some more specific stuff. And these are, of course, we have a board, like 3 people elected to be the president, a co-president, and what's Schatzmeister in English? A treasurer, right, treasurer. And these 3 people are just formally required from German law, and of course we elect them also every 2 years. I think the next election will be in 2024, and I think it's the same like for the technical board. The society will actually be very happy if there's actually someone to be chosen upon, and not only 3 people, and you have no choice. We have a managing director, you all know him, it's Matthias, and he is devised by the board, so the board says this person is managing director, and also we have an advisory council that is all the members who are legal entities, so these also have a special role. This advisory council has the role to give strategic advice to the board, how the society should develop, and also the advisory council has some money each year to give to certain projects in the Elias community. We also elect one online help coordinator, that currently is Alexandra, not here. We publish an online help in the Elias community, and the online help coordinator is the person who coordinate that work, obviously. If you want to join the online help, come to me, I will show you who Alexandra. And also, we have 2 account auditors, that look upon the work of the treasurer, also something that most EVs have. And so you see there's some like formal stuff going on there and some stuff that doesn't have to do with actual Elias development too much. And but of course, these might also be areas where you might become active. But you need to recognize that most of the actual development activity is not formalized via the EV. So you don't, like I told about managing expectations, you don't have the expectation to become a member of the EV and then decide on any Elias development. That's not how it works. Yeah, I saw people having that expectation a lot. Like now I'm like member of something like a company, and then I go to the board and say that for the Elias development or stuff like that. And this is not how it works. I'm finished with the ILIAS Society at that point, and we'll start to talk about that actual Elias development. I want to again remind you about that managing expectation thing. So keep that in mind. And I brought you some pictures of actual ongoing Elias development work that you might be interested in, and they look like that. So this is pictures of actual Elias development work. What you need to recognize regarding expectations and stuff, that there are a lot more requirements, issues, feature requests, ideas, and stuff like that than we can ever implement with the processes and resources we currently have. So it's like always a bottleneck situation, all the time. And so if you want to get involved in Elias development, please, 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 please be careful and frugal with the resources that we have. So don't overload people like Fabian who do actual testing work. Don't overload people like Michael with questions anybody else could answer. Be frugal and careful with the constraint resources that we have, please. So I want to invite you to have a little thought about what these resources might be that are sparse in the community, and what you think are the resources that are abundant. Give it a thought, please. So that's super subjective, I think, but I also think that many people might agree if I say the top 3 sparse resources in our community are time of knowledgeable Elias developers. That's the number 1 sparse resource. We don't have enough of that. The second most sparse resource is time for necessary discussions. We could always discuss even more than we're currently doing. And the third sparse resource we have is time for quality assurance. And these are the resources that you should actually take care about and thinking about how we can expand them. And I think some of you might be surprised to see other things not on this list. Ideas for features are not a sparse resource. We have a lot of ideas for features. Also, surprisingly, I think money is no sparse resource. There's mostly enough money to fund all the things we can do as a community at the moment. And also, external pressure is not a sparse resource. There's always external pressure going on, and we really have enough of that. Fabian? Yes, of course. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I kind of mean that with time for discussion. So Fabian just said that time for deep conceptual thought and elaboration is also sparse. And that's basically what I mean with this time for discussion. Time to think and talk with people about stuff that we want, that we need, and put it down. Yeah, put it down. Yeah, I think you're right. Might be missing on that list. Yeah, of course. I will get to the meat now and give the number 1 tip how you could actually contribute. And like I said, we have some resource problems. And one easy thing that most of you, I'm sure, can do already is just help people that are less knowledgeable with your knowledge. So you all know stuff about Elias. In short time, I will present some opportunities to give your knowledge to other people. But I want to really make sure you understand what the point here is. So we have little time, and with every time that someone of you tells some other person about this and that, they won't bother Fabian, and Fabian has more time for testing. So make sure to spread your knowledge. It will allow other, more knowledgeable people to spend time with more advanced things. It will also help to raise the general level of knowledge about Elias and problems and stuff in the community. So that will be a huge net win if everyone knows more. And also, like I said in the beginning, it will give an opportunity to you to just meet people, get to know people, and find out what they're doing and what their shared goals with your goals might be. So try to make sure that you somehow spread the things that you know. So like on this conference, just give a quick talk about the stuff you're doing, or offer some tutorial session or something. I'm sure most of you are able to do that. The obvious knowledge spreading opportunities, I want to quickly go over that sheet, are of course Discord. We have a Discord server for some time now. And like every week, some person comes there and asks things like, oh, where in the administration is that option, or how can I install that plugin? And every time someone is there answering that question, we will have some more knowledge spread in the community, and some other person that also might answer these questions can do other stuff in that time. The other opportunity to spread your knowledge, obviously, is the forums that we have on our page. And I think some of them are quite active. I think the administrator forum is quite active, but some of them would deserve some more activity. I think developer forum, for example. And these questions that people put there aren't that elaborate. So if you ever looked into a plugin, you might just be the person answering that question. I will also show some less obvious opportunities to spread your knowledge quickly. But before I do that, I want to give you another hint, or actually it's like I ask you to just use the processes and tools that we have as a community. So there are a lot of ways to give your input, and they are created in a way that we understand, and where we understand the processes and stuff. So please use them. So whenever you feel inclined to ask someone personally, where is this setting in the administration? Think about, could I use the Discord? And then some other people could also read that up. And so try to follow the flows. It's not all perfect, and of course we can always adjust these tools and processes, and I'm sure all of you will have an idea about that at some point. But please try to use what we have as a community, what we agreed on as a community, and not interfere and be chaotic, because that actually takes time again for people to process, and processing stuff in known ways is always easier. So I want to invite you to think about which processes and tools of the EVS communities do you know, and yeah, just say some if you know some. There must be people here knowing processes and tools about the EVS community. Say one. Michael, please help me. Yes. I'm such a good anticipator of you. Yeah, of course, the Mantis bug tracker. It's such an obvious tool and process in the EVS community. It's it feels wrong to just say it. It's for reporting issues with Elias. So if you want to report an issue with Elias, use that tool. Don't go to the Discord or to Michael personally, or don't write it down on some letter to Matthias or something. Just go to the Mantis issue tracker and report your issue there. And also, for people that are not reporting issues, I think it's kind of a little known knowledge spreading opportunity. There are so many bugs in there, and it's always nice if someone just writes under one of these bugs, yeah, I also have it. For me, it looks like this. So that is so helpful for developers to know, oh, there are other people having that same problem. Or you could also write under a bug, this has been solved in the meantime. So the developer don't have to look it up himself, you can just close it. And if you report your own issues, you can also help to spread your knowledge. You can be precise in what you report. Don't just write down oh, this doesn't work. Write down, I'm that user, I'm doing this and this and that, and then this happens, I expected that to happen. So be precise in your reporting. Give like additional information, like what browser are you using, what time of the day, and stuff like that. Everything might be interesting at the end. So at least give additional information if you ask about it. Nothing is more annoying than someone writing down, this doesn't work, and I ask, what exactly doesn't work, and then I don't hear from him like for 10 months, and then I need to go into that problem again. And yeah, that's just annoying and taking time. So be precise in your reporting, give additional information if you have them, even if it's not tickets that you created in the first place, even if it's not, I have that ticket too, that might be, that issue too, that might be helpful. You see that's some emotional topic for me, reporting in the bug tracker. Go to the tool, make an account if you like to, look up the process in the paper I've linked, and please, please, please remember my bit, be precise, and give additional information. So, I'm very, very, ich bin gespannt, wie sagt man das auf Englisch? Okay, ihr könnt also, das betrifft alle genauso schlecht Englisch wie ich. So, what's another process and tool you know from the EVS community? GitHub. Yeah, that's also a tool, but I wanted to try to give like insights and help for contribution for people that are not developers, and I think we have GitHub like documented very well how it works. And I think I have that link at some point. So yes, that's a tool of the EVS community, and I won't talk about it here because there are so many non-developers here. Thank you. Yes, Sebastian. Yes, I'm not so good in anticipating. I had feature requests, but yes, of course, we have feature requests. That is some, yeah, these are the first step in formalizing your requirements for the Elias development process. It's feature requests. As I said, they often created via 6, but doesn't necessarily have to be like that. You can create them on your own. We also have a tool, it's called the Feature Wiki that I have linked. We also have a process documentation about how that feature process works. And also I want to recognize you, I want you to recognize these feature requests also as the knowledge spreading opportunity that each one of you has. It's very, very simple. So if there's a feature request and you think, oh, that might be something that I could use for my installation. It is super nice if you just write down your use case and your scenario and how you would use that feature. So it helps developers and conceptors a lot to build the feature like right. So, and also if you have some small, like sometimes you have small additions to existing features, you might just give insights about your actual usage of that feature and why you require that additional like option or behavior or stuff. So I often made the observation that for the features that I create, I don't really know if anyone else uses them. I use them, of course. I wouldn't create them if I didn't use them. But for like the study program that Claudia presented yesterday, until like 2 weeks ago, I didn't know if anyone else besides us used them. And this is also like some hint on importance of a feature, on like user groups of a feature. If you just write down what you do with certain features in the feature requests. So if you work like with the test a lot, you might just go to the shouldn't have chosen the test. If you work with the survey a lot, go to the feature wiki, look through the feature request, and just complete missing information, share your use cases and stuff. So next, formalized process in the Elias community. I'm quite on track, two correct until now. Who has another process that we use in the community? Yes, I will come to that, but I have one other process in between. It's called the feature workshops. We have introduced these quite some time ago. Before we introduced these feature workshops, we had a lot of discussions on the Jufix. that took quite some time, mostly when the feature wasn't devised that well. Then we discussed a lot, did a lot of conceptual work at the Jufix. And to solve that problem, we introduced the feature workshops some time ago. You might have guessed it, they are for the discussion of possible new Elias features, for the deep conceptual work where we can take that time to discuss and time to devise our concept that we don't have enough of. And of course, these are also knowledge spreading opportunities. Just like for the feature requests, you can come there and just tell, I'm doing this with that feature, or I want to do this with that feature. Currently, I'm doing that, and this doesn't work very well. And of course, you all might have tried to tell this stuff to developers, and it would be very, very nice if you just use the opportunities that we have to have this discussion, and these are the feature workshops. So the input comes like in a controllable manner and not like some bucket that is thrown upon the developer. So as for the feature requests, I have linked a tool that is the list of feature workshops we will have in the future, and also the process that we use to have these feature workshops. So then we go on to the Jufix, Sebastian. Ah, yeah, of course. Yes, Sebastian just mentioned the UI clinic, which is like a format we created to help people with the user interface of their feature requests. And I think Yvonne and Enrico will present about the UI clinic this afternoon. And I all invite you to join that session. It will be very interesting. I think both are excellent presenters. And if you want to do feature requests in Elias, you probably want to have heard about the UI clinic. Thank you, Sebastian. Can I go on to the Jufix now, or should I expand a little on any of these feature workshop things? Okay, so the Jufix, we kind of are there now. This is the key instrument for decision making in the Elias development process. This is where a lot of the decisions are made, or at least I will tell a little about that in a few seconds. At least this is where they are formally made. And the Jufix decides on the input from the previous stages. So the Jufix decides on issues that are controversial. The Jufix decides on feature requests. The Jufix decides on proposals of the technical board and all that stuff. These decisions are taken on the Jufix. Visit the tool and the process description if you like. A quick wrap up about what happens on the Jufix is we make announcements there, like some dates for feature workshops, like news, someone is new maintainer or stuff like that. Of course, decisions are taken, also about the PRs that Vincenzo talked about on GitHub. And we discuss features. Also, there's some information about the development process are spread, like how far are we in the testing, when will the next release be, and stuff like that. So you might ask yourself, is that the place where I can decide on Elias personally? And like I tried to tell you in the beginning, that it's kind of hard to understand how that decision process actually works. So nominally, from our process description, the product manager and the maintainer for a certain component together decide on the Jufix. So these are like the persons who need to make the decision nominally. But in reality, it's so that input from all participants is taken into consideration. So if you want to discuss a certain thing and you have a strong opinion about that, you might have the idea to voice it on the Jufix. And so it's not like a discussion between the product manager and the maintainer, it's a discussion between all the audience and the product manager, basically. And you have to understand that Elias is structured like a meritocracy. So people who have merits have more to say. So some people's voices are louder than other people's voices. It's like that in most of the open source communities. So if you want your voice to be heard, it's a lot easier that your voice be heard if you do other contributions to Elias. So for example, if you are a test case writer and you say, I'm a test case writer, and I see that this won't work for that and that reason. It's a lot easier to say that than like I just started to use Elias. This looks very odd. So try to contribute to Elias, then your voice will be louder on the Jufix, is my observation. And the informal decision process then is that we have something like consent that is mediated by Matthias. So basically at some point Matthias says, okay, feels like we can go on like this, or he says, nah, just reiterate and come again. And it's like, it's not a hard consent because it's not exactly clear who needs to consent. So it's more like yeah, Matthias is a very empathic guy, so it's like he feels the room and says, okay, this could work, and most people can agree with that. The decisions made on the Jufix can be vetoed by the technical board. So this is like the only formal measure we have to influence the development process. And of course, this also has to do with that meritocracy thing I talked about. Since we have that decision to veto, that power to veto decisions, our voices are louder than many other voices. So I had a picture of the Jufix before. I just want to make clear that you all understand that this is the Jufix, that point there. So many ideas, feature requests, issues going in, and some finite time to decide on them. So once again, please be careful and frugal with the constrained time resources that we have on the Jufix. We did a lot to make the Jufix more efficient in the last years, and it worked out very well, I think. But currently we are at a point where we can't decide any quicker, I think. And so everything that can be done before the Jufix probably should be done before the Jufix. Like if you have a concern to voice it before the Jufix. That is what the feature wiki is for, or what the issue tracker is for. If you want to ask questions about a certain thing, just ask them before the Jufix. This is what the issue tracker or the feature wiki is for, or the feature workshop is for. Or you might even ask very informally in Discord, but please ask before the Jufix. It will be a lot easier and a great time saver. Try to look into the agenda of the Jufix before the meeting and try to look through the material before the meeting so that you don't have to read up on stuff while stuff is discussed and you are like distracted and ask the same question again that someone else asked, even if you hadn't should have asked it before the Jufix and stuff like that. So there is an agenda, it's fixed before the meeting, you can read it up, it doesn't take too much time to read it up, look through the material that we're discussing, and then you will be a productive member of the Jufix. And also, you can make sure that we discuss high-quality features and requests and issues and proposals, like you gave a lot of information in the issues already and in the feature wiki, and you have been at the UI clinic that Sebastian mentioned, so that we can discuss stuff that is really good, where no questions are open, no problems can be found on the Jufix, and we can just go over that very quickly and all say, yeah, that's good, let's do that. That's the optimal case if it works like that. It's very hard to keep track about that for me, actually. I think there are people who can answer that a lot better, but they're not here. I think we are between 20 and 30 persons in the virtual classroom that we are using. So I didn't mention that because it seems to be so usual, as by now the Jufix happens online, so you just can listen to it like a radio or something. And discussions are mostly made by 10 to 12 people, I would say, and many of the people just listen, which is absolutely fine. Sebastian. So normally there's some developer that will implement the feature called the maintainer. Sometimes we have no maintainer for a certain area of features in Elias. Then we mostly at least have something called a coordinator. And also you can just maybe ask some developer to help you with that, or just pay a developer to help you with that. But complete feature requests need to contain these informations, because we want We want our design process to consider this stuff early on, so we don't have like problems down the road once these features are already decided on and stuff. So yeah, try to establish a connection with some developer that helps you with that stuff, or just pay one. So I have another hint for you regarding that Jufix thing. You can just join the Jufix and listen. So this will probably give you a lot of insights about how things actually work in the EVS community. Just every second Monday from, I think, 13 to mostly 18 o'clock, turn on your Elias account you just created, go to the Jufix link I showed you, join the virtual classroom, and just listen. And of course, you can also talk if you're fine with that, but listening is also absolutely fine. So I just skim through the agenda, find out which things I'm interested in, and then I have that Jufix on the whole time, listening to it like radio, a little. And when the stuff that actually matters to me comes up, then I actively join the discussion and take part. But most of the time, many people just listen, and it's absolutely fine. Yeah, the Jufix currently is mostly in German because most of the participants are in German. And if you want to participate and you don't understand German too well, you can just ask whether we can switch to English very early on. And since we understand Elias to be an international community, no sane person should object to that request, and you're absolutely safe to just ask, can we do this in English? Which is the same for all other feature workshops and meetings and stuff in the Elias community as well. Just understand that most of the people working with Elias currently are German, so they might just forget to ask if there are English-speaking people in the room. And you might raise your hand and just ask. We'll be fine. And if it's not, just tell me and I will go to that person and haunt him. So, thank you. Yeah, I talked about resources a lot, and I want to expand on this a little. As I said, top 3 sparse resources is time of knowledgeable developers, time for necessary discussions and feature work, and time for quality assurance. And I just want you to become active, or at least in your mind, active for a little moment and ask yourself, is there anything I can do to help with these sparse resources? Even if you're not a knowledgeable developer, if you don't have time for necessary discussions or quality assurance, I'm sure there are things that most of you can do, and I want you to ask yourself what that might be. So I, of course, want to make some suggestions. Let's start with the time of knowledgeable developers. So make sure to understand that time of developers is like the most precious resource we as a community, as a software community currently have. We could try to switch our understanding to be like a learning community, then maybe this lemma will go away. But currently we want to develop software and we need developers to develop software. I think that's kind of obvious. And so what you can do individually, each of you, is try to save developer time by asking questions like, did I read the manual? So do I need to put that down as an issue? Or can I just find the answer in some manual? Did I read the manual? Very, very simple. There are not super many manuals in the EVS community, but there are some, and you should have read them. So understand that the issue tracker Mantis that we have is not a support system for your request. It's an issue tracker. You might book some support somewhere, but Mantis Tracker is not a support system for general Elias users. It's an issue tracker for the Elias software development. And if you use it as an issue tracker, you can also ask yourself, am I just the second person or the third person having this issue? Is this already reported? Then we can fall back to that knowledge spreading opportunity I talked about. You can just write in that issue, yes, I have that too. and done. So then the developer won't have to look through another issue. You can just look up if an issue is already reported. Also, you can ask yourself if the question you just wanted to ask can be asked in a more public space. So if you want to ask a developer, maybe you can ask in the Discord. So like if Sebastian wanted to ask about his security requirement question, he can either go to Michael and then Michael needs to ask a question, or he can maybe just go to the Discord and ask in the public developer forum. And then there are many, many more people that can answer that question. So you can ask yourself, can I ask in a more public space? Try to be polite and precise. I think this should be self-explanatory, but also the very fact that I feel that I need to reiterate on it tells you a little. So try to be the best person you can be. Try to be very nice to each other, and try to be precise with what you want and what you're asking for. And of course, use the established processes I just talked about. This will also be a huge time saver for all of our developers. Besides saving developer time, you can also try to extend the available developer time. That's a lot harder, I think, but there are also things that most of you can do at that point. So you can just try to close some service agreement with a service provider. This will help the service provider to hire new people, since they have known budget. So maybe just book some hours at Database or something and ask them to support you with your problems, and then they might just reinvest that money into more developers. Maybe some of you work at organizations where they have internal developer. Maybe go to one of them and ask him or her to fix your issue. So we have an open process for providing fixes in Elias. That's the GitHub that Vincenzo talked about. And every time you see some developer and you have some handle on him, you can just ask that developer to fix your issue instead of asking someone else. Maybe you are an organization that is that huge that might actually afford to hire an own developer that doesn't work at that organization currently. So that's what David did, I think, in some parts. Hire more developers for Elias. So it's not a given that only service providers can have Elias developers. Also universities might have Elias developers, or every other organization that is big enough. Hire a developer. And that is where that URL I promised comes into play. We have a very well working process to contribute bug fixes to Elias, improvements to Elias, that is documented there. So give that link to the developer in question, and then he probably might already be ready to contribute code to Elias. What's important there is that we need to understand that software development is a marathon, not a sprint. So if you hire a developer, if you do a service contract with someone, understand that they might not be able to hire a new resource just yet, or that they might not be able to contribute to Elias right away. It takes time to become effective in new software. It takes time to develop software in general. So if you want to do something on that developer front, make sure to understand that we are looking for long-term results and not for like next month or something. And we are doing that for over 20 years now, and I hope we can do it for 20 more years. So this is a long time, so you have time to introduce developers and stuff, and don't need to rush things and just lose them right away because they are so overwhelmed. Next thing I want to talk about, it's a time for necessary discussion. That's also a thing that each of you might be able to improve. So we have a lot of many possible topics that we can discuss in the community. And of course, underneath each of these topics, a lot of potential disagreement is hidden. So we could like get into a fight about nearly everything, I think. And so to save time on discussions, just try to focus on the things that we can agree on instead of focusing on the things that we cannot agree on. I found that to be very important. If there's something where you can't find a solution in a feature workshop, maybe just leave it and try to work on the things that you can find a solution for. And there are like people who can help with this focal thing, and I called them facilitators. I hope that's kind of like the correct word. These might be like administrators, so it's always nice to have someone that organizes meetings, that invites people, that takes notes, that prepares like the big blue button room for the meetings. So that helps to focus on common stuff. Also, you might be someone who can moderate a meeting, who can keep the meeting on track, secure results, help with constructive debate, say something like, yeah, maybe we should discuss that before we discuss this, or maybe that is something we can agree on. That also helps a lot in these discussions. And also for some occasions, someone like a project manager might help a lot. So someone who takes care about follow-up meetings, about timelines, about resources, priorities. These all, I think, are roles that we just recently discovered in the ILIAS community. And I think these all are roles that, even non-developers and many of you might just fulfill and will help tremendously to save discussion time. So maybe give it a thought, just ask yourself, can I do, you want to take a photo of that? Did you take the photo? Yeah, nice. So would you be a good facilitator maybe? Could you like organize a meeting, find a date? Could you be like a moderator? Would you like keep notes of a meeting? Can you be a project manager? These all are things that will save time, save a lot of time. Are there people in your organization that might do this job? Send them, please, or come yourself. Next thing is time for quality assurance. This is where I want to say that quality assurance, in my perspective, is about finding problems early on. Because every time we find a problem late in the process, it will be a lot easier to solve than early on. So if your feature request, for example, has a conceptual problem and we already started working on it and programming, then there will be a lot of resources already in there. And so quality assurance is about finding problems early on, and that is also one thing where all of you can help. So you could become like just a tester for testing the code we already implemented. Go to Fabian. Fabian, stand up, please. This is Fabian. He's our test manager. If you think you can help with software testing, go to Fabian. If you posted an issue, for example, just retest it if the developer claimed he fixed it, so that we know it's really gone. Maybe you're someone that can write, so we have a little technical documentation that needs some love, and also we have a security group that takes care about security issues, and if you want to become a member of the security group, you can go there. So these are ways to improve ILIAS quality. And I think there just should be more on that list. But that's currently something that we don't have time for. So if you have other ideas how quality assurance can work in ILIAS, maybe you are the person who wants to implement that idea. So security group, I want to say Michael is the one who runs the security group. Stand up, please. So if you're a little like technical minded and want to learn about security and handling of security issues, consider joining the security. So there are things that many people, some people do, and I think they think that these things improve quality of ILIAS, but I don't think that's the case, and I want to quickly say that there are some ways that don't improve the quality of ILIAS in general. So complaining about things that other people should have taken care of or should have done by now is not a way to improve ILIAS quality, because then we are too late in the process. Rather try to make sure to change the process in a way that we can discover these problems earlier. Complaining afterwards might be good for your emotional health and something, that's fine, but it's not a way to improve the quality of ILIAS. So we need to find solutions for problems and not just complain about problems. if you have a problem and you already used the proper channels to report it, some people might just think they can reiterate their problem once again and again and again to manufacture relevance, and that is also not a way to improve EVS quality. That might be a way to improve your life, but mostly there are very, very real reasons why a certain problem isn't addressed. So reiterating it will just take time away from from fixing actual problems and move that time to discussions and stuff. And so think about not reiterating your problem again and again and again if you have used the tools we provide as community. Also, sometimes we are looking for people who are responsible for problems. That might be helpful for some time, but what is really important is that we are looking for solutions afterwards. So we might look into why someone did something, how it worked, but it's only helping the quality of Elias if we're trying to find solution to the problem afterwards and not stay at that who's responsible, who should have done what stage of problem solving. Also, sometimes I see the tendency to prefer short-term remedies over long-term solutions. There might be cases where this actually helps to remedy a problem, but often good solutions take time to find, and with good solutions we will have there for the long run. So if you want to have something fixed by now and the developer says, we can't fix it that easily because blah, 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 maybe just think about taking that time and fixing the problem in a sustainable way instead of just patching some patch over it. So just like for the development, quality is a sprint, not a marathon, and we should all take care about Elias for a long time, or I hope we all want to take care about Elias for a long time. And that is true for quality as well, that we can't rush quality. I want to wrap up a little and say, if you have any idea how you can contribute, you can come to me right after that discussion here, and we try to find a way or a place for you in the ILIAS community. So that is the one. What you can do beside that call to action is just try to connect with other people in the EVS community, build a network, find shared interests so you can use that community thing effectively, and you can use other people's insights to become effective. I hope you all learned that there's definitely plenty of things you can do even if you're not a software developer to help with Elias development. And I hope you all learned that you should be careful with the existing resources that we have, tried to nurture them instead of exhausting them. So we want to build up more resources instead of just using them up. And for the last slide, I wanted to say, just try to be the one who do the things that need to be done together with other people. And I hope you will have plenty of time to meet these people on that conference. And I hope you got some ideas how you could help. And that's it. I'm finished.
Thank you so much, Richard, for this introduction, and also for you, tiny Italian thank you.
Thank you.
And are there any questions that you would ask in the big group? Richard already said that you can...
Comments, of course, as well. Good idea. So I didn't mention them because you can hear me, right? Okay, I didn't mention the mailing lists because there are no way to contribute, but Thibaut is correct. We have mailing lists in Elias, but these mailing lists are not for discussions as you might be used to from other contexts. We gave this thought for some time, and we found that mailing lists, if you discuss on mailing lists, that discussion won't be available for people coming after you. So if you have things to discuss, the forums might be the place to go, or if these are quick things where you just want to ask. Discord might be the way to go, but the mailing lists we have, they are just for information, so they are basically one-way channel from the Elias software development to you and not the other way around. Thank you, Thibaut. Nice way to spread knowledge, by the way. Thank you.
More questions or additions, comments?
I think currently in these bottleneck pictures I had, they weren't they weren't there by accident. So I think this bottleneck problem is currently the biggest problem in Elias development, because it heavily constrains how many features we can work on each year, how many money we can spend on developer time each year. So definitely would try to change this bottleneck situation by parallelizing more of the development work. But I don't need to be the only ruler of Elias to do so. I think there are working processes to do so in the current setup. So I think we will talk about that a lot in the years to come. Yeah, this obviously is a problem, but I can assure you that we also have customers, and basically these projects are kind of like your customers, I think, that want to have features really, really fast. And I don't think you ever saw me coming here and say, my customer wants that feature, we as a community need to work on that feature directly and stuff. So I recognize that problem, I really do. But I think the way out of that is not that you put that pressure that you are feeling on the community, but to work on ways that you can use Elias as a software to provide your customers with features. So you are, I think, the poster person for hiring an own developer and implementing your stuff. So if you're thinking about doing that and you want to do that, ask me. I will happily provide you insights how we do our development work, how that could work together with the Elias community, how you could implement your features very quickly without relying on Elias processes. So this is basically why I put that not all motivations might fit the community thing in there.
More questions? Remarks?
There is something that I find hard to contribute to Elias, is that I know there is a lot of materials to look into, like forums or Mantis bug tracker, but a lot of them are, of course, in German, and it's like a language barrier. So I do not how to search in German.
So if I understand correctly, you're looking for some way to find
easy to solve problems? Will be more materials in English, or maybe if someone find a bug and track on Mantis in German, maybe the who answer, who reply to that can write in English back.
Ah, okay. So you're basically asking us to do more of our written stuff in English, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I would definitely second that. So if we want to be an international community, we need to try to do the stuff that needs to be done in English. If someone wants to propose another language, I would be happy to hear it, but basically English is that language that everyone can use. So I think that's a very valid point. If you write down stuff in the bug tracker, please try to do it in English. If you write down stuff in the feature wiki, please try to do it in English. Whenever you write down stuff, you might be thinking about doing that in English. Even if your English is not that good, it's basically doesn't matter anyway. There are so little people who can actually speak English. We all speak that international pidgin, and it will be fine if you're not that good in English, I think.
Thank you.
Maybe before the next question, just one addition. We had quite a few bug reports in German that originate in TestRail, so in our community testing. The reason for this exception, because bug reports normally should be provided in English, but the explanation is that we mostly currently have German testers at universities, and there are many of them who would not participate in the community testing if they would need to do it in English, because they unfortunately don't handle English that well. But we are always happy to expand our English language test cases as well. So if international people want to contribute to the testing, we are happy to help with translating test cases, and thus extend also that part of the international aspect in the community.
So what's the question? You obviously think that you're right, I think. So if I say you're wrong, it won't help. But the thing I can do is explain our business model. So, and that will be our business model. It's not the business model of database, LifeHost, or any other service provider. It's just our business model. Our business model is we sell a software service based on Elias, and that means a lot of that value that we sell isn't actually just providing the software or coding stuff. We try to implement it in the company, and we do project management, and you just might ask one of our customers who are sitting here what the actual value is that they get from us. And I don't think it's just a software, it's like a working process for learning management. And that is something, that's some value that we provide. And of course we do it with Elias. So we do it with a lot of other open source software as well. We do it with Linux, with MySQL, and many other open source projects. But Elias, for us, it's very relevant, of course, because that is like the basic platform that we use to implement that learning management. So our business model is we get money from companies for working learning management, and some of that money is just given to people like me or given to people like Niels, like Ferdinand, for working with the community, and that is the way that companies provide resources to the Elias community. And we won't be open to just like projects from public sector, because that's simply not our business model. We can look into like corporations at some points. We did that for like University of Freiburg with the learning sequence and maybe other occasions, but we are just not like people for hire on software projects from public sector. And so if you ask me about can you do this and that for this and that project, I would simply say no, that's not our business model. But I'm sure that this is very different for like database, and they have their own reasons why providing resources works or doesn't work in certain situations, and I can't expand on that because I simply don't know. Does this make sense a little? I didn't say you have to, I said you can close a service contract with some service provider, for example. But I think for universities that would be a very good strategic option to hire your own developers, but because you certainly have your own priorities regarding the software you are using, Elias, and you currently can't put that priorities to action regarding the problem you just told. So I simply don't understand why it's such a it seems to be such an issue to hire developers for you. And I'm sure there are like organizational reasons and stuff, but you would really profit from having your own developers. I think David can already talk to that things get easier once you get your hands on the stuff and are not like away from it via contracts and so on. Yeah. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I understand. It's basically might just be like we stopped doing software development for individual customers some time ago because we found out that this is just not feasible for individual customers. So this might be something that is just not feasible for maybe doing your own software development. Yeah, but like I said, try with database. That's not our business model. Thank you too.
I have a question, because it was a lot of input, your slides. Where's the best way to find them, to look up all the links after the conference? Do you know?
No, I currently don't know, but I'm certainly willing to upload them to wherever you want me to upload them. We
need to look where the best place is. Maybe Also as an addition, Alina Seibt, also from ILIAS Society, who's sitting at the entrance with an Elias shirt. She's working on an onboarding for new community members. So this is also like trying to make access to the EVS community easier, to lower the barriers, to also make it easier to meet people when you're not at a conference, or to keep in touch with us after the conference. So if you would like to learn more about that, talk to Alina. She has a bookmark that also includes the link to the onboarding, and maybe actually we could also include at least some of that information there. She already has it, like some of it, but I wouldn't say all of it, so maybe there's a way to join that together. One more question?
I think one additional way to contribute that you miss is to translate.
Oh yeah, of course.
The work of translation into other languages.
Yeah.
I think for some people it may be an easy entrance.
Yeah, excellent point. We have Elias in different languages, and I can do it in German and in English barely, and I have no idea how to translate Elias to Hungarian or something. So if someone knows Hungarian, translating Elias to it is a super cool way to contribute to Elias as well. Yeah, thank you. There will be much more ways of contributing that I actually missed.
Just a comment, I would like to encourage people to engage in the online help. For us, it was a very good method to introduce new colleagues into the system, so they look at a special feature and write the explanations how to use it. And in the online help community that Alexandra is coordinating, they find very good help and contact as well. So they learn a lot, and it's a very good method, to get acquainted with Elias.
Thank you. Okay, so I think there are no more questions or remarks right now. So welcome on board the community. Thank you.
Thanks for listening.